Hello, everyone. This is Domina Sofia here at Domum Sapientiae, the House of Wisdom. How are you? I hope all is well with you. I am sitting here working on some new information for the temple, and I was laughing because I'm in such a happy place right now. Really fine-tuning the temple. As you know, here on YouTube, all of you have met me through Wealthy Wife. That was the first visible chamber of the temple that I shared with the public. Now, as I've mentioned, Wealthy Wife now has been put placed back within the temple. She's still a chamber of the temple, but she's an aspect of as opposed to everything that I've been doing. And I'm thankful for Wealthy Wife. It is she put me in a position to meet so many great people, men and women, predominantly women, gave me an opportunity to share insight, wisdom that I've been living, doing, being for a very long time, watching women thrive with said information, prompting me to share additional information because remember, most of you have met me here, YouTube. That's where you met me. And some of you are alumni, Wealthy Wife alumni, or currently inside the temple as, active goddess daughters and initiates. Some of you came through, have various ebooks that I've shared through over the years on different topics. Majority of stuff I've shared with you is in reference to learning how to select your life based upon who you are, what do you desire in your whys, bringing the wisdom and how to be that woman who is an inspiration. First to self, because the muse, and I'm laughing too, because the muse is all over the place right now. I have seen so many people discussing the muse right now. It makes me smile because it goes back to once again that conversation. I've been having this conversation. What Wealthy Wife literally turns 11 years old in August. Been having this conversation for almost 11 years, and some of it is now just making mainstream. Interesting. But you've been learning about how to become that inspirational woman, how to be the enchantress. First, for yourself, create the enchanting life for you. We're never doing things over here because we're attempting to attract a man. He is part of the process. He is never the process. Everything I share with you is about you becoming the best version of you so that as you're making selections about who you decide to be with, when we're talking about romance, but this is also about your business life, your social life, your personal life, just about your life in its entirety. And the temple really goes into it. I'm gonna share something with you. One of the things that was written today is Domum Sapientiae, the House of Wisdom, is for the woman who has always felt different, for the woman who's always asked deeper questions, for the woman who values wisdom and beauty equally, for the woman who appreciates meaningful conversation, for the woman who has explored countless books, teaching, philosophies, and perspectives in search, in search of something she could never quite name. Domum Sapientiae, the House of Wisdom, is for the woman who senses there is more to life than appearances, more than prosperity than money, more to relationships than attraction, and more to sacred womanhood than modern culture suggests. And here's a kicker. And this is true for some of you. You have been searching for a place where all these conversations can exist together. A place where wisdom, beauty, prosperity, meaningful relationships, culture, refinement, and sacred womanhood are explored as part of a larger philosophy of life. That is just a tiny summary of Homo sapientia because it is about the totality of your life. It's never just about an aspect. With especially right now, because I have seen so many people. Once again, the whole rage right now is to find a rich man. How to date a rich man, find a rich man, marry a rich man, marry. I'm like, oh, okay. Men are talking about it. Women are discussing it. It's good. A ton of it's still very superficial because it's still just about the attraction of. It has nothing to do about the lifestyle with the man. Who are you going to be in that space? And I'm seeing some of the marketing, it looks like the sugar baby stuff again. Flashing money. I'm like, oh God, we're back to that. We're back there already. Oh God, it's been what, just a few years? We're back to, everything's about showing the money, 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 money. Get that bag. Okay. I think it's interesting because I really thought we'd outgrown that, but apparently I'm incorrect for some spaces and for some places. Because once again, the Goddess Daughters, that's definitely not our space. We're into the longevity of the relationships that are being created, that have been and will be created with the gentleman that we choose to be part of our world when we decide to offer them space in our world. The Goddess Daughters are learning how to exist, not even exist, how to be present, live, be in this energy so that their entire life is amazing. And what I have learned, hang on, I need to get some water 1 second. Ooh, my throat's dry. What I have noticed and what I have learned, because once again, I've been doing this for a while, is the difference of expectations between the women I work with that come from, and this is not just them in general, this is just the masses as a whole. The and remember, I told you before, I come out the middle class, so I can discuss the middle class all I desire because that's my origin story. Middle upper middle class. The mindset of the middle class, and then the mindset of the goddess daughters that I work with that actually come from wealth. And I'm not just talking about the newer money, the new, what I call them, the new money that people think is old money, but they're not. Because the goddess daughters I work with that come from money, their families have titles that go back hundreds of years. Yeah, I've said before, I have a very, very diverse culture here inside of Wealthy Wife and domumsapientiae. And I've had a chance to observe, especially now with this obsession with what old money does, how old money thinks, how old money prepares, how old money functions. And I really do enjoy seeing those videos because there are some really good YouTube videos that, because the mindset is shifting, people are thinking in terms of longevity because this Domo Sapientia is longevity. She is legacy. And I love having the space available now to really bring those of you into my world deeper into that particular truth. Once again, you met me at Wealthy Wife, and Wealthy Wife was a great place to meet me. Wealthy Wife began to give you a different mindset, began to view what it means to be in a space of that level of coupleship. Or as a single woman who's choosing, because remember, we talk, the courtesan is my person. I mean, I love me the courtesan, who chose to entertain multiple men. So whether you're choosing monogamy or you're choosing, the poly aspects of it, doesn't matter. The central point for both is you. You knowing yourself so completely, so thoroughly, still leaving room for expansion and growth, but understanding your language, your whats, your whys, your preferences. But there is a vast difference of mindset between the two. Because when I'm working with, and I finally found words to put to this, when I'm working with those of us that come out of the middle class, and remember, the middle class is taught to be the worker bee. You are taught to obey. You are taught to follow instructions. You are taught that A leads to B, B leads to C. That if you go to, we learned it from school. We went to kindergarten. From kindergarten, we went to middle school, junior high school, went to high school, you went to college. And if you continued, then you went to college to get, you got your bachelor's, then you got your master's, and you got your PhD. All of that is still set on exactly the same linear path. You read some books, you memorized some information, and then you took a test, you got graded on the test, and if you did well, at the end of the test, all the testing, and the reading, and the testing, and the testing, and the reading, you got a piece of paper that said you accomplished something. Okay? Not a bad thing. It really isn't. But you're taught that structure because you're never taught to think outside the box. Your expectation is you to to know your place. That's basically it. Just know your place. When I work with my wealthy clients, they're taught an ecosystem because they're taught how to lead for real, for real. Because they're coming from families that have led, once again, I said for generations, in some cases, centuries. And by the way, those are some wild conversations to have when you're talking to somebody who literally his family is real generational wealth. The mindset is different because there's different roles that they play inside of their ecosystem as well. You see this with the royal family. We use the British royal family because that's the one that's most visible. The children, the boys, William and Harry. William been raised and been taught how to be a king since he could stand up straight because the expectation is for him to become the king one day. Harry, now with William having had, but he has three children now. They're all next in line after him, obviously. So Harry is what, fifth in line now for the throne, I guess. I don't know. But he's nowhere near going to take over the throne. But he still had responsibilities as well within that ecosystem. Because the ecosystem and what you're going to learn about wealthy families is they are a business. And this is why I keep telling you guys, think of your life as a business. Think about your romantic relationships as a business. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but if you're going to thrive and be successful, you need to think about your life as a business, especially romances. And if you're going in the space of after rich and wealthy, especially rich and wealthy romance, honey, you better know he's thinking about it like a business. He will have his playmates, but who he chooses for his wife, and I've watched this with my goddess daughters. I'll say it again. I have goddess daughters that come from wealthy backgrounds. When a man is looking for the wife, he has certain criteria for her based upon where he fits into the birth order. If he's the one taking over the family business, he has expectations for that wife has to be. She's not gonna be the party girl. She needs to have some protocol and pedigree behind her. You need not have the same pedigree as him, perhaps. Maybe you don't need to be born in the wealth. The examples I will give for you right now for this particular conversation, once again, going back to Queen Vashti's and Esther. Vashti, old money, pedigree, prestige, raised from the ground up to be a future queen, undeniably, had all of the education, learned all the protocols, learned everything she needed to be able to coexist and co-rule with her husband. They have you thinking that Vashti was some kind of minor player in that world. She was not. She was his queen. She was his co-partner in that empire. Remember, during his 6-month festival of food and wine, I'm sure, and dancing women, um, I'm sure they were there. She was entertaining all of the wives, and these individuals came in from all around the world, and these were the elite of the elite. These were also other queens and princesses and nobility that Vashti was entertaining. And the entertaining is there's nothing, and it's not just about hanging out, because trust me, while her husband was getting drunk and eating and drinking, he was still making deals. And while she was conversing and doing the things that women did, she was still also making deals. She was raised from the ground up on how to co-rule with this man. Why do you think he was so bummed out when he realized what he did? When he sobered up and realized what they did, he was like, oh shit. Ugh. Because as I've shared on the various audios I've done on this topic, he knew he messed up badly when he released his co-ruler. How was he going to be able to entertain these other men? Who was going to step into her position and be able? He had to stop business. He messed with business. These men were not going to come into his kingdom with their wives. Who was going to entertain them? He had a problem. Men think about it from the point of view, oh, he had about the man had a whole bunch of concubines. He had no lack of going someplace to be able to do his, to do the Willy Wonka. Okay, he had bodies there for the Willy Wonka. And he didn't have bodies there to step into the queenship. He messed up. And plus, I'm sure he also missed her because once again, they knew each other. We have no idea how long they were married prior to the whole situation. But this was somebody that he knew, who he could actually have conversations with, who understood the burdens of his lifestyle because she was raised within those burdens. See, this is the after effect of when you get the man with money, just so you know. Like I said, because you have to teach you guys how to find these men and where you're learning how to actually be present with them and actually build out a life with them inside the temple. And I've given you bits and pieces of it out there. You guys have had access to some of the books, the ebooks, and some of the coursework through Wealthy Wife to give you a taste of, the expectations. Esther comes in. Now, Esther is probably most of you. Esther would be me. Coming into a situation where while I have had some training in some things through my childhood, because I was raised with some culture in my childhood through my father and my mother, I still wasn't raised I wasn't raised to be a queen. I wasn't raised with that kind of background. So many of the things that I would share with you guys, I've had to learn along the way as well. Thus, the conversation that I have with you is different than most conversations. So I would be the Esther. You're the Esther, perhaps. Even though I have, once again, worked with who would be considered the Vashtis, with the background, the pedigree, the knowing, the inside information. Where those old money audios and videos that you're watching, that's their life in real time. But we're the Esthers, where we have to learn the protocols. And I'll say this again, they tell you she went through trauma. Esther was not presented immediately to Xerxes immediately after her training. I promise you, there were a ton of women that went before her because her person, the eunuch that was her person, was the head dude in that harem. He was the one setting up the roster to go before Xerxes. Esther was beautifully placed several months after her training because everyone was taking notes. Okay, what did this one do wrong? Okay, what did this one do right? Oh, that one really messed up. Oh. So she had extra months of training before she was presented to Xerxes. And then you don't know how many years actually passed with the two of them, before the whole situation took place. You're not given timetables. You're just given events. It was years. To take the time out to be able to finesse that man as beautifully as she did, she had to know him. You're not learning that kind of personality, that level of arrogance of a man. You're not learning that, and how to work through it and have audacity. She had to know him. She had to also learn the court. She had to learn protocol. She had to learn how to entertain these women because she's now a queen. She's not just part of the harem. She's the queen. She's got the big girl pants on, okay? She's wearing the woman pants. So when I come here and I have these conversations with you, and I say inside the temple is the whole process. It's not just about a piece here, a piece there. It's the whole thing. I've shared with you bits and pieces outside of the temple, obviously. Wealthy Wife is the temple. She's part of the temple. I've shared before. There's always been a temple. But I have been introducing you to information over the years, and some of you have partaken of the information, obviously through the coursework, private tutoring, the books, the gatherings. The temple is where we now begin to weave it all together inside of a community of women who are ready to articulate their truth. First, always, 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 who are you? And then learning how they're going to move in the rest of their life. And because I still desire for you to understand how to be present with men properly, because men are still part of our life, learning how to leave the ones alone which you have no business allowing into your life. Once again, by the time you get the wealthy wife, you should be at that position. By the time you come to the temple, those are not things I'm teaching you. Okay, there are folks out there that specialize in that. No, by the time you come here, you should have some clarity. You don't need not know everything, but you should understand that it's you first, you understanding you having clarity around what you desire and your whys. When you're going to allow men to be present in your world, it's because he becomes an accessory in your world, as opposed to becoming your entire world, because was never meant to be your entire world. He was there to be your helpmate. I know that sounds a tad uncomfortable for some of you, but it's a fact. They were created to assist us. We are the creators. We that create the life. We are the source of the initial material that creates everything. We have a connection to the higher power. He has some, but he doesn't go as far as we go. He can't. But where they are able to go in reference to spirituality can be a wonderful thing. Even though I've heard some of the craziest stuff out there right now. Some of these men having conversations. Oh my gosh. I won't get into them here. I think I'll say some. I'm gonna share some of the stuff with the goddess daughters of these gatherings, because some of the stuff I've heard lately, especially in reference to sex, has me laughing out loud, because I'm like going, "Oh, this has to be a man study because it's a lie." Some of the things are claiming that, how they need to have access to our bodies because, that empowers us. No, no. They plugging us to pull power from us. It's we're the energy. He can offer us some, but they come to us to replenish. Remember this. Thus why you need to understand what you're doing in your whys. Who you're going to allow to plug into you and why. Have clarity. Make sure that there are offerings being given to you to elevate you, because your elevation automatically elevates him. We have deeper discussions about this inside the temple. I've shared enough with you guys out here on the platform. I've shared tons of information here on YouTube. For those who've heard me, fantastic. For those still trying to figure what I'm talking about, maybe one day you'll figure it out. And for those who think I'm off my rocker, then once again, we're not in the same vibe, and it's perfectly fine. Because I know what I'm talking about, okay? I have proof. I live the proof. So I know I know I can vouch for what I'm discussing with my whole chest. Because I know it's the truth. So once again, inside the temple, I now have a place where I can bring forth additional information in due time, because there's so much out there available right now. The goal is to absorb, to begin to implement because that's a requirement. The goddess daughters that are the initiates that are part of the oracles keep. I know some of you are listening and you're laughing. I require them. They have to. I need to know that the information is being applied. It need not be perfectly applied, but I need to understand that what's being learned is being put into effect somewhere in their lives. Because once again, remember, in school, we are taught to just take in information, take it in, 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 memorize stuff, take a test, regurgitate what we learn, and then on to the next test. No. And that's the conditioning, once again, of those of us that come out of middle class. We're taught to keep pushing, pushing, pushing in hopes of getting a gold star, in hopes of getting that certificate, in hopes of seeing something that proves that we're good, that we did the right thing, that validation. But what we were taught was never meant for us to expand and grow beyond the confines of the box they want to stick us in. Remember, the wealthy goddess daughters, they live inside of a whole lifestyle. They live inside of an entire ecosystem. If you've ever watched any of, I cannot think the name of the school right now, but there's like, I think it's like the most expensive private school in the world. I believe tuition is like 150 plus $1,000 a year. I believe that's the tuition. And they were discussing the fact that the children are not taught the standard curriculum that you would teach a child like us. They're taught a whole different curriculum. They're taught how to socialize. They're taught art. They're taught languages. They're taught a whole they're taught finance and not just, the standard stuff that we learn, which is good because once again, it's a start. It's a good place to start. But they're learning how to run the world, basically. And they're learning how to be good stewards because stewardship is also taught inside the temple. Yes, stewardship. Remember, we're going for longevity. We're legacy here in the temple. I can't think it's little, what is it called? Little Rose? I cannot think of the name of it. But if you go to YouTube, type in the search box, the most expensive private school. It's little something. I don't know if it's little Roach or little, I can see it, but I just cannot think of the actual name of it. But that's how their children are taught. It's the entirety of a lifestyle because they are being taught to be leaders of the world. They're going to be taught to be leaders of businesses, leaders of families, leaders of dynasties. Now, you may be thinking Miss Sophia or Miss Domina Sophia, that sounds overwhelming. To an extent, it can feel overwhelming because these individuals start in their childhood. They're starting in preschool, where most of us are not learning this information until we're grown. And we're learning information outside of the bubble. And if you're not clear on what questions to ask, where to be, because once again, all the sesame conversation right now, where to go to find rich men, go to these different events, go to galas, go to car shows, go here, go there, go everywhere, right? Go play golf. Wonderful. It's going to put you in proximity is very important. But what are you listening to? Why are you there? What is your purpose and goal? And we're talking besides just find a damn man with money. That's the starter pack. And if you're not choosing well, it's a nightmare pack. We're building out an entire world. So once again, some of you hear me. I make sense to you. Some of you hear me, and it's too much. And it's okay. It's okay. I've never been here for everyone, and I never will be. I am here literally for a very select mindset. Women who are ready. Because remember, I have wealthy goddess daughters. I work with wealthy women, not just ordinary. I work with wealthy, established, wealthy women, wealthy wives, heiresses. They still come into the temple because there's things that they're fine tuning. There's awareness that they they finally just begin to comprehend, or because now they're finally deciding to live their lives differently. Some of them are in a position where they're finally, like, once again, they're looking at what they're supposed to be doing, thinking, no, that's not going to work for me. I have rebels. I say it again, I would probably say the goddess daughters would definitely be classified as rebels. Because once again, they're refusing to just live by status quo because status quo has been a nightmare, very unfulfilling, and at times detrimental. So is this you? Is this you? For the woman who has always felt different? Is this you? For the woman who has always asked deeper questions? For the woman who values wisdom and beauty equally? For the woman who appreciates meaningful conversation? For the woman who has explored countless books, teachings, philosophies, and perspectives in search of something she never quite name? For the woman who senses there is more to life than appearances, more to prosperity than money, more to relationships than attraction. Is this you? Does she ring a bell? Because here's another thing. Wise women have always gathered around ideas, books, beauty, wisdom. They gather to exchange insight, to preserve culture. See, this is where we are. We are about culture, the longevity. How do you, because we're returning, there's a return, we're returning back to an ancient way of being. You're a woman. We are the culture. We give birth to the people that walk the planet. They learn at our knees. They learn from us. Whether you have children or not, you come from a mom. Who was your first teacher? Your mother. My first teacher, my mom. The things that I learned on how to be a woman. There were some skips that were stepped or that were missed because once again some conversations were taboo, but there's no more taboo. Plenty of people teaching a lot of great stuff out there that women need to understand and know. And they were things that will be also taught within the temple because I will be bringing in additional individuals to teach different topics over the next several months. But we're the culture. What's that saying? A man will can they build the house, but the woman creates the home. We are the ones who create the environments. We are the ones that men build beautiful things for. Look at the Taj Mahal. You know the Taj Mahal is a tomb, right? There's a woman and a man buried in there. The Taj Mahal, one of the most, they call it one of the seven wonders of the world. Man took 20 some odd years to build it in memorial to his wife. She 14 kids. Number 14, unfortunately, was her demise. Oh, he couldn't keep his hands off her. Literally, but that was the love of his life, and he was the love of her life. Their love story was quite beautiful, and unfortunately had a tragic ending. But but that's an example. King Xerxes or Esther decided to rewrite a decree that he had issued to stop the destruction of a nation. I'm giving you extremes right now, but men day to day, they long to find ways to honor us. Of course, you have to select the right man or the right men, but that's what we're here for in the temple. So you can begin to have that discernment, but you must understand who you are. Stop chasing after things and having no real knowledge of why you desire what you're asking for, and then having no concept on how to actually build it out, maintain, multiply, grow it out. Because if you desire a relationship, they're constantly changing. There's nothing stagnant about you. You think it's gonna be stagnant inside a relationship with a whole other person? It's not. Understanding your whys. Remember, relationships are business transactions. Understand the business of you first, and then understanding the business of your life. Doesn't sound sexy, but it's the truth. And when you have this kind of wisdom, you choose differently. You study differently. You can release patterns in your life that no longer serve you quicker. You can invite what you desire in quicker because you understand the whys behind what you're asking for. And you stop following the guidelines of individuals that just really, really, really are keeping you stuck in status quo. My goddess daughters, visionaries, rebels, beautiful women coming from all around the world, tons of backgrounds, cultures, ethnicities, desires, dreams. It's a beautiful place to be. So anyway, I want to share that today. I just added to the temple. I know I've shared this because the link is in the description box. One of the first ways to have an opportunity to be part of the temple is the patronage. We meet twice a month. We gather twice a month. The information that's been shared with you in reference to where you're going to begin to open up and receive wisdom that's going to assist you with your being, thought process, nervous system regulation. Because I understand this to do this lifestyle, your nervous system, trust me, I've been here a while. I know this. I'm not the woman that I was when I started 20 some odd plus years ago to who I am now. The evolution between the two has been immense, to put it mildly. Because yes, it's nerve-wracking when you first start. And there's nerve-wracking parts in the middle. But it becomes easier and easier the more you are able to do it and thrive and have clarity around what you're doing in your whys. Because you also have a chance to meet really great people who also help you to clarity. I've said before, my mentors, a lot of my mentors coming through this process have been men. What I've learned with the men that have been a part of my life and are part of my life. And there have been some great women as well. But the women in my world didn't show up till later on this path for me. I was already in the process before I met the women. And the women usually came to my world because of the men. Isn't that crazy? But it's the truth. So anyway, are you ready? Go ahead and check it out. Click the link in the video description. If, like I said, if you if once again, I love this statement. You know, if you're one of those ones who just have feel different, that you're listening to information kind of going, oh, that doesn't quite sound right. Or you're thinking, oh, that sounds demeaning. Because some of the information out there is very demeaning. It's humiliating. Some stuff I see that you guys are advised to do is humiliating. And you never need to humiliate yourself to attract a man. And you never need to shrink. You know, I'm going to avoid the rant about the coffee days because we understand how much I despise that whole concept, right? I will never make myself smoke for a man. You want to take me out? You will take me out properly. And the folks are worried about the fact of a conversation. If you can't sit across the table from a man and have a real conversation over dinner, stop dating. Yes, I said it. Stop dating. He's supposed to show you his best from day one. Because if they don't show you the best from day one, it just goes downhill. Men will tell you that. But anyway, no soapbox today. Have an awesome day. Like I said, click the link. Go take a look. The patron. Become a temple patron. Join our gatherings. We have our next one coming up on Sunday. We do them on this, what is it, the first Wednesday in the evening of the month and the third Sunday. We just started. We just had our very first one this past Wednesday. So these are just beginning. So our next gathering will be on Sunday, the third Sunday of this month in the afternoon. I look forward to seeing you there. Have an awesome day. Bye bye.